What is going on, guys? This is EK1 Gaming here, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at the brand new changes coming to the Summit game mode in TU11.1. Now, before we get into the video, as usual, be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you have that little notification bell ticked to receive updates when we go live or we upload videos. Also, leave me a comment in the comment section below letting me know what your thoughts are of these changes. Now let's get straight into the video. Now, on today's State of the Game, the developers announced some changes to the Summit game mode, and these changes will be coming in TU11.1. Now, the date is set tentatively for the 20th of October, but of course that could change if there's anything that goes wrong, or they just basically can't get it out on time. So the date so far is going to be the 20th, which is about 2 weeks away from now. Now, some important changes are coming in Summit, and some of these changes are what I've kind of spoke about in previous videos, what I thought they should have done from the start, and I'm actually really pleased, and I think this kind of could revitalize or, you know, revive Summit, because for me, I mean, after the first few times of Summit, I didn't really play it much. So it's kind of a bit stale for me right now, but this would actually get me playing the game again. So let's start off by showing what are they actually doing when it comes to these changes and improvements for Summit. So the first improvements we'll take a look at are the selecting difficulty and directives. Now, this is something that I wanted in terms of the difficulty. So basically you can choose your difficulty and change it whenever you want during Summit, meaning you can go from level 1 to 100 on legendary, which for me is what I kind of wanted. I wanted that challenge, and you know, the directives, you can also select those as well. So if you want to turn them all off, or you want to put all 9 of them on because they're letting you use the old directives as well, you can do so. They basically made it now also so that the directives and the level difficulty impacts your chances on getting target loot. And that basically means the more directives you have on and the higher level you have it on, the more chance there is of target loot actually dropping within the Summit floors that you're playing on. So if you've got, say, all 9 directives, I believe you get 9 times the drop rate for target loot. The only issue I have with this is the loot quality. Is that going to be improved as well? They didn't really mention that, but for me it's a good change, of course. Now, that also impacts the fact of what target loot, you know, you're going to get. And they also addressed this in the State of the Game. You are now going to be able to select your own personal target loot. So when we say personal, I literally mean personal target loot. They have made it where even if you're in a 4-man group, you can each choose a target loot for yourself, meaning that, say for example, I wanted some Hunter's Fury gear, yet the player that I'm playing with wants some Providence. He can set his to Providence, I can set mine to Hunter's Fury, and we'll get an increased level of target loot that we've selected ourselves. Now, the good thing about this, and you'll notice on the clip right now, is that you can actually select a gear set rather than just having gear sets as a whole. Now, this is something that I have wanted for a long time, and I've spoke about it on numerous occasions. You can pretty much select any single target loot, brand set and gear set to be your target loot for the Summit. Now, this to me is a game-changing, you know, improvement, because we've never been able to do this before. If you want a certain specific thing, maybe you want some bulwark, you can literally select bulwark. Now, be aware, this is only for Summit. However, the individual gear sets are going to be active in the open map on the target loot. However, you won't be able to choose which mission gives you what target loot. So they're still going to be individual. So your aces and 8s will be in one location, and say Eclipse Protocol will be in another one. This is for me one of the biggest changes and improvements of the whole Summit, and for me this will probably make me return to the Summit, play it on legendary with all 9 directives on, and try and farm for those pieces that I'm missing, or for the pieces that I want to get at a higher rate. Now, like I said previously, this whole improvement thing sounds great. I am still a little bit skeptical without bringing negativity onto it, because I do think this pretty much could save the summit for a little while. I'm not saying it's going to make it replayable, but for a little while. But the negative side of it is they need to improve the quality of loot as well as the drop rate of loot. Because if you remember, a long time ago, they said basically they would lower the drop rate but up the quality, which kind of never happened. We didn't get that. But now what they're doing is upping the drop rate. Is the quality going to be lowered because we're getting a lot more drops? Or are they going to up the quality of the loot to actually match legendary and make it worthwhile farming for? Because if they do that, on the flip side of that, are people going to get all of the gear very fast? And they don't want that. As a development team, they don't want people to have everything so quick, especially when the end game is actually really bad at the moment with the PvP the way it is, etc. So for me, it's a great change. I just hope they do something with the loot quality. I hope that the quality is actually worth grinding for. Because, you know, we all want to get that rest of that gear, or just max out our gear, or even just get those better pieces. There's certainly some pieces of gear sets that I want, Hunter's Fury, etc., that I want just to be rolled a little bit better. So for me, it's a really, really good change. And, you know, I think it's going to bring me back slightly to Summit. Of course, the challenge is there. Do level 1 to 100 with all 9 directives on. And the devs himself, or Johan himself, has actually challenged everyone, saying who can do it within 24 hours. So we might attempt that as well. We'll see about attempting that one. So now let's talk about the threat scaling improvement. Now, I call this an improvement because to me this is actually pretty cool. I think this is a good idea because we do want it to get a little bit more difficult the higher you get up the levels. You can switch it to legendary, like I said at the beginning, and do level 1 to 100 on legendary. Now that would be no fun if it didn't get a little bit harder the higher you went. So what they've added in is the higher the floors, the more elites will appear. And the more kind of mini bosses or the lieutenants will appear. So when you get to the higher floors, you'll get 2 bosses. And when you get to the higher, like, end game floors, there might possibly be 3 bosses there that you have to defeat. So to me, that makes it more competitive the higher you go up. So it's not just the same kind of one boss every 10 floors, etc. That's it. There'll be more higher rates of elites, making it difficult the higher you go, and there'll also be more bosses to kill, which means more loot as well, because the bosses of course drop more loot, which to me is a good change. It makes it so it's a little bit more exciting, not as much boring. However, I can see it if we're kind of rushing through all the legendaries really fast and with ease, then of course it might get that slight bit of boring, especially at the beginning when there's only going to be kind of one boss, etc. on there. But with 9 directives, that could pretty much going to keep us occupied for a while. There will be people that will do it straight away, 100% people will just, go in there and defeat it maybe within 24 hours. I'm not too sure. A good coordinated team could probably do that. Now, let's take a look at some changes or improvements they're doing to the objectives, etc., because there's a couple of little changes they're doing as well. So they are improving the objectives, or making more objectives during Summit. They are making the laptop interaction faster when you're doing the laptop objective, which will help out a lot. They're also changing the spawn of the NPCs during that objective to make it a little bit fairer on the player. They're making it so holding the SHD crate is more beneficial to you, so that the skills will actually help you more when you're holding the SHD crate objective. And there's going to be new UI notifications about exotic fire teams, bosses, and etc. They're also changing the Ridgeway's Pride. So the bleed now is going to be within 15 meters. So basically you have to be within 15 meters of the NPCs instead of 10. And they're also changing the rate of armor regen. When you've got 5, basically you're going to get 48% armor regen. They're then also upping the drop rate of the parts for the Ridgeway's chest, and they're also making the quest only 2 hunters and 2 rogues that you need to kill. I believe that's so you can do it solo, so you can spawn kind of 2 rogues solo. There is also a weekly project for Summit where it gives you an exotic cache, and simply that might be like just to complete the summit on a certain level, etc., and that will be weekly. So there's definitely a lot more to go into Summit 4. As I say, I am skeptical about some things, including the loot quality, etc. But I'm definitely looking forward to this update. Let me know how you feel about the update. Do you think this is going to bring you back to Summit? For me, I will come back just to farm for those pieces of gear. When I've got all the gear, I'm not too sure if I will continue to play it for fun, because to me it's not like the funnest of game modes. It's quite like repetitive and boring. However, for now, I mean, this is definitely going to fill the void for a lot of people. So guys, don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I will see you all in the next video. Let's go!